All right, well, our speaker tonight, I've never heard his story, but I have met him over at the Delta Club, and I'd heard him share in the meeting several times, and I've heard him share over here a couple of times. I've been impressed with what the man's had to say. He called me about Wednesday, and he said, "How are they on language over there?" I said, "We all speak English." But he's yeah, I was quite impressed with what he'd shared in the meeting, and I'm real glad to give you Kenneth M. with 13 years tonight.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Kenneth, and I am an alcoholic. I'd like to say that today is a darn good day to be sober.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm only sober by God's grace and His mercy. I'm not stupid enough or dumb enough to think I'm sober on my own power. I know they have some people maybe agnostically inclined or atheistically inclined that might have a problem with that. I don't. I tell them right quick, if you'd have done for me what God did for me, I'd be talking about you up here. That's bottom line on that. You know, I want to give credit and thanks to the first 100 men and women who wrote the textbook of Alcoholics Anonymous, because they wrote one of the greatest literary masterpieces of the 20th century. Yes, they did. I want to give credit and thanks to my sponsor for taking his time to take me through the 12 steps. I give credit and thanks to the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, because without that, this fellowship and a sponsor taking me through the 12 steps, I would not be sober. So I give the credit to where the credit is due. And I say that in order to establish some form of humility. Because any arrogance I display after this, y'all remember I said that first. I came to the meeting. I came to a men's meeting over here about 2 months ago. And had a topic on the floor. And the guy that put the topic on the floor, this is what he said. He said, how can we make the program more attractive to the newcomer? How can we get more newcomers to go to the steps? How can we make the program of Alcoholics Anonymous more enticing to the newcomer? I don't know if he's in here right now. I know Joey is, because Joey was in that meeting. But that, to me, represents the very epitome of recovery. What recovery is all about. Yeah, I called Joey on the phone. Because the reason why I called him and I asked him, I said, well, how you all on language over there? The reason why I did that, because I came up in the men's center. And the men's center now has a sign saying no profanity, and I'm one of the reasons that sign is up. I attend 2 meetings. One meeting on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. at the Delta Club. And in that meeting, you have a whole lot of elderly ladies with a plenty time that be sharing a whole lot of solutions, and I don't cuss in that meeting. There's another meeting that I don't cuss in. A big book study, which I do every Wednesday night at 6:30 at Delta Club. Now anybody else, they can do whatever they want to do. They can cuss, they can do all of that. I don't. That's the only 2 meetings I don't cuss in. So I asked him about the language. And when I ask the person something, I'm listening for the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And this what he said. He said, well, it is a spiritual meeting. That's what I wanted to hear. So I'm going to do my darndest to spiritualize this meeting. You know, I'm going to try my level best. Like I said, the topic that guy put out on the floor, you know, it's a topic that I haven't heard in a men's meeting in all of the 14 years I've been in, 13 years, and I'm glad you limited that. But that represents what this program is really all about. Bill, I want to share something with y'all. But before I do, I'm gonna tell y'all the reason why I'm telling my story. People call it telling your story, a presentation, a speaker's meeting. They call it all kinds of different things. But one of the reasons why I'm telling my story, the big book tells me exactly why I'm telling my story. And that's what I want to get on point with. This is what it says on page 29. Each individual in the personal stories describes in his own language and from his own point of view the way he established his relationship with God. First and foremost, my whole purpose is to describe how I came in contact with a power greater than myself. That's the whole purpose of it, but it goes further. He says, we hope no one will consider these self-revealing accounts in bad taste. Our hope is that many alcoholic men and women desperately in need will see these pages, and we believe that it is only by fully disclosing ourselves and our problems that they will be persuaded to say, yes, I am one of them too. I must have this thing. So my second most important reason for telling my story is to reach that newcomer. Hopefully that the newcomer can identify something of what we have been given and what we have. That's the whole purpose in me telling my story. It's most certainly not to give you a long, drawn-out war story. I would rather share about how I cease fighting everything and everybody. Y'all heard?
Yeah.
But in order to tell you how I cease fighting, I have to say something about the war. And if only in order to identify what I was saying earlier about this being the epitome of the program, I want to share something with you all about Bill Wilson. This is what Bill Wilson said on page, I think it's 13 and 14. He said, my friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator. That I would have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems. Belief in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Simple, but not easy. A price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light who presides over us all. Then he said, these were revolutionary and drastic proposals, but the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. He said, the moment. See, the average person knows what an hour is, and they know what a minute is, but a moment. He said, the moment I fully, I'm sharing with you all one of the great moments of AA history. Fred, he also said, the moment he made up his mind to go through with the process, he had the curious feeling that his alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. The moment, in I think it's page 83, somewhere in the 12 and 12, they say about the newcomer. The moment the newcomer tells his family that he really going to try the program, the process has already begun. There's some great moments. See, moment just don't mean a brief period of time. It also means the effect that one thing has on another, operating on it from a distance. Once you look it up in the dictionary. I had when I first came in, my sponsor put me in the dictionary. So I had to learn a few things. You know, because I wasn't speaking language like I speak today. Like the big book tells us, in the doctor's opinion, that their problems had piled up on them and became astonishingly difficult to solve. I didn't use the word astonishingly. Like a person said, that's astonishing, isn't it? I didn't speak like that. So even though the book was written in English, it was in a language that I was unfamiliar with. So I had to, and the good thing my sponsor, because in talking about these kind of things, this is what Bill said on his hospital bed. While he was in his hospital bed, in treatment. He said, the thought came to me that there are probably thousands of other alcoholics who want what was so been freely given to me. I can work with them and they in turn might work with us. Bill Wilson wasn't thinking about working with one alcoholic. He had in mind thousands. Dr. Bob, in the beginning of his story, they tell us that Dr. Bob carried the AA message to over 5,000 alcoholic men and women and treated them with his services, his medical service, without any thought of charge. I don't know nobody else hold that record. This is exactly what it said. Bill Wilson, when Bill Wilson was about to relapse in the Mayflower Hotel, y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. He lost all his money, everything. This business trip went down bad. The lawyers had big time arguments in the courtroom. He had resentments. He ain't had a way home. He was in his head, pacing up and down in the Mayflower Hotel between the bar and the telephone directory. Y'all remember the story? Yeah. Then the thought came to him about the other alcoholics who wouldn't recover if he was to drink. And the book said, AH. I had to look up that word. Those other alcoholics. He said his sanity returned. And he thanked God. Did y'all read that? See, I'm a very shy speaker. So I don't like talking at people. Y'all heard me? I'd much rather talk to you. So if I ask you a question while I'm standing up here, answer me. Now I'm going to share. Because they say we share in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now, right?
Yeah.
We share in a general way, not specifics. So I'm going to generalize how I used to be. My situation, I could really put it in 4 or 5 words, but due to this spiritualized me, I'm going to tell y'all, I started smoking cigarettes at 4 years old. That's 1956. I'm born and raised in New Orleans. We didn't have blue laws. The liquor stores never closed. Every Sunday they was open, 24/7. I'm born and raised in the 9th Ward in New Orleans. I'm drinking at 5 and 6. I'm talking about, I remember me and my brother being slick, stealing our grandfather's what we thought was monogram white Pope, thinking we getting drunk and we were drinking kerosene. I lived in a house that had an outhouse. A real outhouse. house, no bathroom, no running water, no electricity. We had a kerosene lamp. The rag man, the ice man used to come around. We had a real ice box, not a refrigerator, an ice box where you put blocks of ice in it and keep things cold. That's how I came up. Poor. The only thing about that is I knew how to read before I went to school. Y'all heard me? I had read the Holy Bible twice before I even went to school. On the first day of school, when the teacher was putting people in group 1, group 2, group 3, y'all remember that? And according to their reading classification, when I got up to read, the teacher got up and said, "You sit in my class and direct this class until I get back." I became a director at an early age. Sure did. She ran out of there and came back with Mr. Waters, the principal. He had a newspaper in his hand. He said, "Can you read this headline?" I read the headline. He said, "Can you read this paragraph?" I read the paragraph. He patted me on my head and said, "Brilliant, brilliant." I've been messed up ever since. And I flunked first grade. Because I was never there. I was never in school. They was giving me books with C. Dick, C. Jane, C. Spot, C. Puff, Officer Friendly. They had no Officer Friendly in my neighborhood. Every time an officer seen me, he said, "Nigga, put your hands on the car." I have over 100 juvenile arrests. I have over 100 adult misdemeanor arrests. I have over 65 felony arrests. I burglarized every tall building in New Orleans. And I can tell you all that because the statute of limitations done run out. Every time I visit a state, it seemed like I had to go visit their prison. Didn't believe in working. Didn't believe in working. You know, I'm one of them old hustlers. I started stealing cartons of cigarettes when in 1959, selling them a quarter pack. I found out if I give a person something that they want, at a discount, they'll buy it. I just had to stop the stealing because it kept locking me up. But the business aspect stayed with me. So I could not identify with Dick, Jane, Spot, Puff, and all of that kind of stuff. Spot was a dog. Spot's house looked better than mine. So I went on from sniffing glue and constantly drinking and buying my alcohol. I never stole my grandfather's wine again. I started stealing out the store after that. I started with all of these different charges and the specifics and details of each one. I can't go into the details, so I'm generalizing my situation. Every adult charge I had mostly was due to being under the influence or trying to get it. That's generalizing my situation. You heard? That's enough of that. So, in other words, I didn't kibble and bit myself. Y'all know what that means? Yeah. Kibble and bit? Do you? Like a person, y'all ever scored dope? Any dope fiends that snuck in here? I mean, somebody. Well, a person putting a little bit and scoring just a little bit at a time, but constantly scoring and just getting a little bit. That's a kibble and bitter. I always look for weight. I did the same thing when I come to recovery. they said a message that can interest and hold these people must have depth and weight. My sponsor was about 300 pounds. So, since I didn't kibble and bit myself out there, when I come into the program, I don't kibble and bit my recovery.
Already.
My sponsor told me that, and let me tell y'all how I got here. Because I don't want to seem like I'm all of that. I used to sell brand new jeans. Brand new, y'all remember them Fat Albert shirts and all them name brand shirts and whatnot? I used to, all of them counterfeit, right? But I'm selling them nevertheless. So, I sold all kind of good stuff. But by the time I came into the program on Christmas Eve, 2004, I was not going to a meeting because I wanted to go to a meeting. Some dude told me they got free food down the street. That's how I got there. The only thing is, they had the food, but they wouldn't give it to me until after the meeting was over. I had to sit in there. And while I was sitting in that meeting, and they had what they call an alcathon there. The way those people were sharing. I had been in Houston 10 years without a cell phone. I didn't know nobody in Houston, Texas, except the dealers who I was scoring from in 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, and 5th Ward. I didn't care nothing about nobody else. I'm a person that was selfish and self-centered in the extreme. I wouldn't give a person the time of day with a watch on. I tell him it's broke. See, I knew one thing. Being where I was from, all it take me is 2 seconds to take my eye off of you and anything can happen. Person asked me, I'm coming out of Main Street going in 4th Ward. Said, sir, could I ask you a question? I said, you just did. And I kept walking. I didn't care nothing about nobody, no how. I remember when I was listening Christmas Eve 2004 to the people that were sharing in the room. The thought came to me, Kenneth, you're home now. I was surrounded by a bunch of strangers. And the feeling came on me, said, Kenneth, you're home now. And that feeling ain't never left. I got up to pick up a desire chip because after that meeting was over, they started saying, because what I got out of it, let me tell y'all what I got out of it. I don't know if any of y'all ever been to church. But when the preacher and the people finished preaching and telling their determination, they start saying, is there any? Is there any? Let him come. Let him come. So they asking for the desire chip, y'all. That's what I got out of it. They say they borrowed these principles from religion and medicine. Must have borrowed that too. But I went up there. And I got me a desire chip. And before I can get to my seat, a guy by the name of Tariq, he grabbed me by my hand and brought me to some guy I ain't never seen and said, this your sponsor. See, they got other people, like that guy that was here in that men meeting. They got other people that's looking out for that newcomer. Y'all heard me?
Yeah.
It's a good thing that they did not allow me to choose a sponsor. I would have been looking for somebody that's intellectually compatible to me and would have found nobody. It's something about sponsorship. This program offers sponsor. It's something about, it's free. The good thing about it, they ain't but And the magnificence of the simplicity of the program is wondrous if you really, really look at it. They gave us 12 principles. My sponsor started telling me about principles. I told him, I got a principle. See, when I slapped somebody side the head, it wasn't because they didn't give me my money, it's the principle of the thing. So they were speaking a language that's foreign to me, right? He had to explain to me a few things. There's a principle go with each step. Honesty. See, if I can't see the principle operating in nature, then I can't accept the principle. Every chip you get in Alcoholics Anonymous, if it's a 1-year chip, a 1-day chip, or a 10-year chip, it's going to say, to thine own self be true. Honesty is the principle, they say, that governs the first step. And it's the only one that I'm going to have to practice 100%. But how is honesty a principle? Remember I told y'all before I went to school, I had read scripture? Remember I said that? Yep. I told y'all, answer me if I asked you something. Well, I remember reading this book. I'm just sharing my experience. Y'all all right with that? Yeah. I remember reading in this book that God said, let there be light. Next thing he said, there was light. Any of y'all ever read that? Yeah. Well, to me, was that saying to me, if it's true, that God spoke the world into existence? And if he spoke the world into existence, then everything in the world must be true because it's his word. And everything in the world operates according to a law and a rule and a discipline. And it follows that discipline. Water is always wet. Fire is always hot. Birds fly. Chickens cluck. Ducks quack. Am I right or wrong? Yes. The only thing that's not true to itself is man. Because I've been given a free will. So when I say I'm an alcoholic, that means I don't drink no matter what. I'm going to be true to myself. I know I'm an alcoholic. I have this allergy. I don't drink no matter what. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Yes. So I remain true to myself. Honesty is a rule and a principle that's running throughout nature. My sponsor asked me, when he got to the second step, he said, do you have a power that you believe in, or a God that you believe in can restore you to sanity? I looked at him. I said, first you have to explain to me exactly what you mean by that, because I don't see myself as insane. Oh, he had something for me. See, my sponsor never answered me out of his head. He turned to a page in the book, and this is what he read. I will never forget it. He said, no matter what the precise definition, we call this plain insanity. How can such a lack of proportion, the inability to think straight, be called anything else? I say, in that case, yes. I was done with step 2. Step 2 says, as soon as a man can say it, he believes. Not right. As soon as a man can say he believes, we emphatically assure him he's on his way. In other words, he ain't going nowhere until that happens. I'm going to have to believe or be willing to believe that there's a power greater than myself. Until that happens, I cannot go any further. So I went on to step 3. My sponsor started telling me about selfishness and self-centeredness. and that alcohol and drugs was not my problem. I thought he lost his mind. I'm telling you, I never heard this name. So when he was explaining it to me about the step 3 decision, I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all remember what the doctor said? That many people who constantly go out, they make many resolutions, but never a decision. Y'all ever heard that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, a person come from off a relapse or whatever, I swear I ain't gonna do it no more. Y'all remember that? If you only work with me this time, sponsor, that you know, I ain't gonna have it. Y'all done been through that? They say they make many resolutions, but never a decision. But when you look up the word resolution, it means a decision. And when you look up the word decision, it means resolution. But the doctor said making many resolutions, but never a decision. So the difference is, because when Bill and them they wrote the book in masterly detail, where a rationalizing alcoholic like myself can't find a loophole. They knew I was coming. They closed them all up. See, a resolution is a decision that's made without thought. That's why they make many resolutions, but never a decision. But a decision is a resolution made after careful consideration. Didn't they say, we thought well before taking this step?
Yeah.
That's what they said, right? We thought well before taking this step. Now when I get to step 3, my sponsor got me with this, what we call the 3rd step prayer. Y'all heard that?
Yeah.
Now I'm saying this, God, I offer myself to thee. Look how Bill changed the language when he get to that prayer. He started using these and thys and thines and stuff. Y'all hear? That's a heavyweight prayer. I offer myself to thee. Now, like I told y'all, an offering is only an offering. Just because I offer myself to God don't mean it's going to be accepted. I remember reading in that same book long time ago that there was 2 brothers. Each one of them made an offering on an altar of sacrifice. One was accepted and one was rejected. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
I remember being in adult prison for the first time. The first time I ever hit the adult prison. They were singing songs like, ain't no joy like a brown butt boy. That's what they were singing. At that time, I was a good-looking boy. I remember taking a shower. And the guy saw me taking a shower. And he offered me a pack of cigarettes and some cookies. If I got sense enough to know what offer not to take, God most certainly does. When you read the big book, there are 3 conditions that qualify whether my offering is going to be accepted or not. On the top of that page, they said, once we sincerely took such a position. The first qualification is it to be sincere. On the bottom of that page, they're going to say if it was honestly and humbly made, a great effect was felt. Lacking any one of those qualities, that I'll do a 1, 2, 3 shuffle. Any of y'all ever done a 1, 2, 3 shuffle? If that offering is not sincere and honest and humble, that offering I'm doing carries no weight. In other words, I don't know. I'm going to ask you a question. I expect y'all to answer me. Has any of you all said before you came into the program, Lord, I swear I ain't going to never do this again? Only to be doing it sometime within the next 15 minutes. 12-step prayer carries depth and weight. I said, take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. That's a contract. That once my difficulties be removed, that I'm obligated now to help somebody. Y'all heard?
Yes.
So when I get through the process and I get to the 12th step, and my difficulties have been removed, because as I'm going through the steps, my difficulties are slowly being removed. And then I renege at the 12th step, and I'm unwilling to help somebody else. Y'all ever took somebody through the steps and told them to take somebody through the steps, and then they say, oh, I don't think I can do that. Y'all ever work with people like that? Yeah. It's like sitting at Starbucks eating a Big Mac. And somebody come ask you, where's McDonald's? You say, well, I don't know. You're goddamn liar. You just left McDonald's. Oh. What happens is, it's a law that's operating now. Once I renege, my difficulties come back, doubled and multiplied.
Yep.
There's consequences for playing with God. Yep. That's why they say we thought well before taking this step. Making sure we was ready. Right. That we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to Him. I look at them words, utterly. You know? I stand in big book studies. 12 and 12. You know, I needed to know, I'm not going to accept no anything. You can't just give me no anything. It has to have something where I can grasp it. I used to read comic books. I used to steal them too. I had about 400 of them. All of Marvel's first comic books, I had all of them. But I learned from reading comic books. Any of y'all read comic books?
Oh, yeah.
Well, inside the comic book, there's the words that's in a balloon. Right?
Yep.
And when there's thoughts, there's zeros.
Yeah.
All right? Well, there's a picture that goes with those words. Right? Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, if my mind can't formulate a picture behind what you're saying, I ain't trying to hear it.
Yep.
That's how I came up. You ever heard a person say, I can see what you're talking about? Yep. Or I can't see what you're talking about. Right. Y'all ever heard that?
Yes.
Well, if I can't put a picture behind what you're saying, that's why the big book gives us all these illustrations. Tell me about the insanity of a man that has a headache and start beating his head or beating himself over the head with a hammer. I can see that. I can see a jaywalker skipping across the street. Y'all heard me? I can see these things. You know, but if you start giving me all of this vague stuff, like in the 11th step. The 11th step said it would be easy to be vague about these matters, but we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Y'all heard that? Yeah. It ain't no vagueness here. They made it, my sponsor helped me make it crystal clear. I did a 4th step. Y'all know what the 4th step is?
Yes.
It's the moral courage to face myself. First time I ever did it. And thank God. Let me see. That's why I don't like getting involved in them war stories. Time go to escaping. I'm going to share something with you all about how well this big book is put together. In the 4th step, after I do the 4th step thoroughly and honestly, this is what they say. We have swallowed and digested some big chunks of truth about ourselves. Then it doubles back and says, now these are about to be cast out. Doesn't it? Yeah. Well, when I swallow something and digest something, what do I do next? I told y'all answer me. I shit, in other words. The problem with that my stuff stinks. So bad that I don't want nobody else to see it or smell it. But here I got to call in the shitologist, call the sponsor. He's been stirring this stuff around for a while. He said, Kenneth, it ain't the greens messing with you, it's the beans. And after I do that, I get what you call relieved. Ain't that what they call it? Yeah. I'm going to relieve myself. That's what they said. That's what I'm praying for, relief. And after I got all of this stuff and I'm looking at it, quite naturally, the sixth step come in, said, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects, right? Yep. The word defect come out the word defecation. Y'all know that? But they got some people, they don't want to let go of everything. That's why they use the word cling. You know how stuff be clinging to you back here? If we still cling to something we won't let go, that's what they tell us. We ask God to help us be willing. That's what they say. Am I right or wrong? So, however you look at the principle that they gave us, that big book is written masterfully. And then by the time I get to the ninth step, and I'm making my amends, the beauty of this ninth step and how masterfully put together it is. After I do that, they say we're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness, right? Yes. All right. I'm going to tell y'all something. The average woman, has a baby at 9 months. Am I right or wrong? Right. Before the baby, remember, we made a decision in step 3 to turn our will in life over, didn't we? Right. Well, before the baby comes out, it makes a complete turn in the womb, and then it come out. And the woman know a new happiness, and the baby know a new freedom. Then right after that, I'm going to enter what they call the world of the spirit. I done picked up 9 tools to use in this new world. They said my next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Right or wrong? Right. The same way I was in the womb 9 months, and I picked up the necessary tools, the arms, the ears, the eyes, the legs, to be used in this world. I done picked up the spiritual tools to use in the next world that I'm in. Y'all ready? Yeah. We done entered the world of the spirit. Our next function, that's the word they use, function. The word function means the operation of a thing in the manner for which it was intended. And if I'm not doing that, I'm malfunctioning. Y'all heard? The way they put these steps is very simple for the newcomer. It is not complicated. It is very simple. All I had to do was have a moment and make the moment I make up my mind to go through the process, I'll get relief. The moment. Any of y'all ever had a moment? Some people say, I'm having a moment. Yeah, all kinds of moments. But that moment, that's all I need to do. Make up my mind to go through with the process. And I'll be relieved. I made up my mind to go through with the process, and I got relief when I done that. When I got free, I'm going to tell y'all what happened. I had 30 days sober. And I used every day, all day, drink every day, all day. I had 30 days sober, and I was going to a meeting 9 o'clock in the morning. And as I walked in by the men's center, I realized I had $20 in my pocket. Hell, that was a bigger miracle than 10 rain seeds opening up. I said, I better keep going. You know, right now what I do is I do 12-step work. And I'm going to share something with y'all, that this service work thing is one of the most awesome jobs a person can have. Yep. They said we have a new employer with a capital E. And I see some people in meetings saying, meeting start on time and end on time. But now I got a new employer with a capital E. I'm perfectly willing to work for this other employer, all kind of overtime for that extra money I'm going to get. Boy, I got this new employer, meeting start on time, end on time. Ain't nowhere in the book. The newcomer really needs to understand why he is the most important person in the room, because that's not in the book either. The newcomer really needs to understand why you're the most important person in the room, because we can't keep what we got unless we give it away.
Right.
We need you. Bill, when he went to Bob, and Bob said, I don't think you can help me, son. Bill said, I ain't trying to help you. I'm trying to help my godson. Y'all heard me?
Yeah.
And Bill and Bob went on that mission. They went on that mission. Right now, I work with all kind of people. I done took over 20 women through the steps. Monica's one of them. She even opened up a new group about 6 years ago. That's just one of them. I done work with Buddhists, Baptists, Hispanics, whites, blacks, Klansmen, niggas, everybody. They had a guy was a Klansman in the men's center. This was years ago. I didn't know he was a Klansman. He stayed in that meeting for 2 weeks without sharing. So after the meeting, I'm going outside to smoke. He said, Kenneth, could I speak to you for a minute? I said, yeah, what's up? He said, I'm a Klansman. My daddy was a Klansman. My grandfather was a Klansman. I got a problem with niggas. He said, but I've been listening to you for 2 weeks. And I think you can get me through these steps. He said. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So it's a tobacco spitting Ku Klux Klan. Them the worst kind. Was to come into these rooms. They said, Kenneth, I don't believe in God, because if there was a God, he would have never created such a thing as a nigga. I tell him, keep coming back. That's it. We're working with others. This thing is so awesome. I'm going to tell y'all something. Susan is my wife. Stand up, Susan. Susan is the power. Susan is the power behind the 12-step sponsorship workshop that we do. She make all the tapes. We're cooking all the food, the gumbo. I don't think I'd be sober if it wasn't for Susan. Y'all heard me? I love Susan to death. But if my phone rings and I'm having conjugal relations and I'm not in a climatical condition, I'm answering the phone. Thank you all for letting me share.
All right, that was Kenneth M. with 13 years. That's why I like to get around to a lot of meetings. You never know what kind of people you're going to meet. And I've met some very interesting people in this program, and we really appreciated you tonight. You gave a very strong message.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Keep coming back.